This one is called Uncivic Virtue. Uncivic Virtue. When Socrates questioned how the defining characteristics of the Greek city-state, political virtue, harmony, balance, peace, and order, how could they be derived, taught, and transmitted? Legend, ascribed to Plato, tells us that recourse was had to Zeus, the highest god, who, quote, fearing that the entire race would be exterminated, sent Hermes to them, bearing reverence and justice to be the ordering principles of cities and the bonds of friendship and conciliation. Jamaica lacks schooling in the civic virtues. Reverence for each other's dignity is considered weak and appeasing and secondary to money power or political influence. Justice is circumscribed by class and special interests, and its pursuit is mostly inaccessible or delayed until the outcomes are meaningless. Imagine having to get a visa to go to England to access Jamaica's highest court, the British Privy Council. We are by no means the worst by international comparison. Check Haiti, parts of the United States, Yemen, Afghanistan, Ethiopia, for instance. But blessed by brilliant human resources, manageable size, felicity of geographic location, and usable traditions, we really could do much better for ourselves, you know. Now, these thoughts are provoked by the thick wall of resistance to COVID vaccination and the pseudo-reasoning behind this unwillingness to act in reverence and justice towards others. I don't know about you, but I'm really ashamed that when the statistics for the Caribbean and Latin America are published by PAHO, Jamaica is second to last from the bottom in percentage of available citizens who have taken the vaccine. Shame on us. Hear one Bishop Facey opposing the righteous call of Archbishop Gregory, the Anglican Archbishop, for a vaccine mandate. This prelate argues that a requirement to protect oneself and others around you would be a breach of human rights and an issue unrelated to the moral order which Christians ought to promote. And this influential view is apparently widespread. Witness the increasingly empty seats at the vaccine blitzes, as if it can ever be godly to be self-centered. Trust, the beautiful child of friendship and conciliation that Zeus spoke about, is the scarcest commodity among us. Scant reverence for each other is what is keeping us back from taming COVID. Distrust is why we have a government chosen by only an abject minority of the electorate, less than 40%. With right truth, Lisa Hanna said recently that the only thing not going up is respect for politicians. It doesn't help, for example, when the old car purchase case, that was the O'Brien issue, is so long unsettled that it is really forgotten. Clearly that is the intention. So it is with the litany of other unresolved scandals which sap Jamaica's confidence in constituted authority. For you can have plenty power but lack the authority to use it for good purposes. Isn't that where we are heading right now? A new scandal almost every week. Thankfully, the Integrity Commission doesn't need any referral from cabinet or a ministry to examine the airport's authority or nutrition products or Jamalco. The problem is that long before any investigation takes place, the money is gone and the public have reached a conclusion which may be unfair to named individuals and has further eroded public trust. The vital need to teach and model civic virtues does not only apply to governments. Recently, Derek Rose, in a letter to the editor of The Cleaner, repeated his lament about the terrible and unremitting noise pollution that we all suffer from the selfish fashion of motorcycle riders who modify their mufflers to induce deafness and distress. How do you relate the civic virtues of reverence and justice to this deliberate nuisance? Where did they learn that this was okay? How do they unlearn? What kind of mentality tells you that your importance and your significance in life is demonstrated by how much noise you can make? A few years ago, in a series of parliamentary questions, primed by the said Derek Rose, I had asked Minister Montague why this illegal practice was condoned. After the long usual delay, the answer given him to pass on to me was a pitiful riposte that when the bikes came for their annual fitness test, the farting exhaust systems would be corrected. Try your best, Bobby. Sorry here, Derek. Please don't rely on either the mass media or the political parties to encourage the civic virtues of respect for self and others, and more. Our best hope lies in the schools. At the most impressionable early childhood level, revamp the entire curriculum to teach and model humane virtues and good habits. Especially after the prolonged purgatory of COVID, the Brain Builders program for the pre-primary sector, that's the first 1,000 days of life, from conception upwards. That Brain Builders program is as essential as universal vaccination. Take the early childhood teachers out of minimum wage penury. Feed the little ones in nutrition that most don't get at home, and bind the parents to renewed positive value transmission. Zeus had this to say to the Athenians centuries ago, quote, "For cities cannot exist if a few only share in the virtues as in the arts." The same applies to us, In Jesus' name.